Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking with one of our students that recently landed a role. She has a background that's nothing in IT, so no prior IT background, and yet she was able to land a role that gave her a 32% salary increase. I love sharing these stories so that you can potentially see yourself in this story and see how you can transition from whatever career you're currently in into the field of cybersecurity. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this interview with one of our students that just landed a role. And I want to share this interview with you because, like I always say, my students, when they find success, it's important for them to, I like when they share with others so that others can see how it is that they actually found success. And it's not just a, statement about someone finding a job, but that we're actually teaching you and helping you understand how they made the career transition happen for them. And so with that, we're going to get right into it. Today, I have with me Aimee. Aimee is one of my students. She took our program. She started several months ago towards the end of 2024. And now she's starting a new role that she landed. And I just want her to share some information with us on how she landed this role. All right. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Aimee. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hi, I'm happy to be here.
You, Aimee. Thank you. So first of all, congratulations again. You did the work and you got the results. I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm so happy that you're here to share your story with me today. All right. And so with that, let's get right into it. And do you mind? Let's start. The first question I have is just telling us a little bit about your background, the work you did previously, and where you started, right? What's your background?
So I've been in early childhood education for the last 10 years. I have a early childhood education degree. I have a Bachelor of Science in basically preschool teaching. I started as a preschool teacher when I was 16, so I've been in the field for a very long time. And worked as a lead teacher for several years before transitioning into nannying. And so most recently, I have been what I like to call an early childhood specialist. So working more closely with families in home rather than in like a preschool center. And so I've been doing that for the last several years, and then also some other caregiving roles, including taking care of family members.
Awesome. So first of all, taking care of kids is a big deal. It shows that you have a lot of patience and you have a lot of love for kids in your heart. So first of all, that's a big deal. Thank you for all you do, helping the parents out there with little kids. So now, coming from an early childhood education with your degree in that, can you help us understand what pinpoints did you have? Like, what was the issue that made you think I need to transition careers and ultimately, decided to take our program? Like, what was that pinpoint that you were trying to solve that you saw that our program was going to help you with?
Extremely demanding career physically and mentally. It's the type of job where you have to be really intentional and present. Not that you don't have to be present in all jobs, but it requires a different level of attention than a desk job would. And after doing that for 10 years, my body was exhausted. I was feeling very burnt out. I would like to have children of my own at some point in time, and I felt like I really wanted to step back from that. Um, and also grow more academically and in a mental way where I would be able to use my intelligence more on the job rather than my like problem solving and, those more almost physical requirements of being a preschool teacher. The field is also woefully underfunded. Teachers don't get paid very much. And I wanted to support my independence career-wise as well.
And so one you said mentioned just to make sure I got that. So one, you made sure you were in a physically demanding job, right? And that's not something that we all can do for a long time. So that makes a lot of sense. And you wanted more financial independence. And so when you say financial independence, just if we break that down a little bit more, like financial independence means a lot to different things to different people. Was it just a case of I just want more money, or this is more like I'm trying to secure my future? Like, what was it that you were trying to solve? Because you could have done many things to gain financial independence. What did you think our program could help you with, if that makes sense?
One of the things that really drew me to the program is that the starting salaries for jobs in audit and cybersecurity as a whole are high. And so coming in with no background in IT, I needed, well, and a very limited education that really only applied to teaching. I knew that no matter what job that I wanted to go for in this career transition, I didn't want to start out low and then keep working, keep working, keep working and like build my career and salary over the years. I needed to start out at a point where I could support myself. I had also recently gotten out of a dual partner income situation, and so I was single again. And needed to be able to financially support myself in San Diego, which I believe is actually one of the most expensive cities right now. And so I needed to come in at a high level. And I saw that this program could really get me there. And sure enough, I'm at a 32% raise currently from my previous salary for this position.
That's awesome. And we're going to talk about that salary in a bit. But you mentioned
I'm
something.
jumping the
So
gun.
I love that you mentioned it now. So now people have to wait to hear the story. But like there's one thing that you said that really makes a difference because everybody, not everybody, most people that say they want more money are not necessarily strategic about it. They just jump into any career that gives them, even if it's a little bit of money. But what you said, and I think makes a big difference, is you were really looking for a career transition, but you were specific and intentional about looking for something that was high salary so that even starting out, you're not starting out at the bottom. That is a big deal. Like that's something that a lot of people don't think about. Sometimes people just think incrementally, oh, let me just make a few $1,000s more or just a little bit more so it gets me out of the current situation I'm in, when in fact, you could jump levels, right? By going into the right field. So I really like that you expanded on that because that really shows that you were intentional about, you understood that you wanted to make some financial gains, right? You wanted to have financial independence, but then you still thought through how you wanted to get there, and you specifically went for something that would kind of take you levels up in a way that would, even at whenever you started, you're in a really high salary. So that's a really good one. So now one of the things I love to say is I love when students do the work. It's one thing to think a program will, help you resolve or, address a pain point. It's another thing for you to do the work in the program that actually helps that pain point get solved, right? So can you walk us through the steps that you took, or maybe your thought process, that after you enrolled in the program, because you got into our program, you got in our advanced program actually, which included some extra things. But can you tell us what steps you took, the mindset you had that actually helped you to implement the program, right, and find the success that you did?
I think the mindset is really the key because I knew that I was coming into a field that I really knew nothing. I have no IT background whatsoever. So I knew that I wanted to get to this level and I was going to need to put in that work. And so going through the modules and really paying attention, I tend to learn more through writing. And so it's also, really key anytime you're doing something like this to know what your learning style is. And so when I was listening to the modules, I was taking extremely detailed notes. And it made moving through the modules go much slower because I had to consistently pause to write things down or make sure that I had written an understandable sentence that I could then go back in and study after that. Um, but moving through that, hearing the material and writing things down really helped to establish that in my brain. And then the projects as well, those were so key for me because then you could move past just the academic side of things and really actualize what you were learning in hands-on work. And that really helped as well. And then from then, I've been applying now for jobs for several months. And throughout that whole time, I've still been studying. So I still set aside, several hours a week to continue to do the work, to continue to review that material so that it doesn't get stale. It's so important to keep that knowledge up. And then when I would be applying for specific jobs, I would then, refocus my studying to focus more on the specific role that I was applying for, what would be relevant for that. And so I found those steps to be really, really helpful.
Amazing. I'm going to recap just for those that are listening. First is the mindset. Like, it's so underestimated how much your mindset can make or break your career transition. Sometimes you might end up acquiring the skills, but because you have the wrong mindset, you sabotage your success. So I'm really, really happy that you mentioned that because it's just the truth, is the reality. So having that right mindset helped you. You mentioned going through the modules. So, Amy, I think I mentioned this to you before. You were a student that I knew was studying because every time you came to class, you were ready, you had questions. I could tell you did the homework. The projects that we have in the class, the practical projects, are really key to going from just academia, like you said. I tell my students, I don't want you to be professional students. I want you to be professionals. And so doing those projects helped you, right? That was the second and the third thing, I think, of going through the modules and doing the project. And the last one was not giving up. Like in the job applications process, it took a few months. I know you had to take a little bit of a break, for some personal time, but you came right back in. But one thing I want to highlight there is you said that you also kept studying throughout that process because with a career transition, the new material is not just going to stay if you abandon it, right? If you just say, oh, I think I'm learning now, I'm moving on. When you're starting with the career transition, you want to continue to study the material, right? Even after you get a job, because you're working, but you still want to study the material to make sure you really got it right. So just wanted to recap there because I want to make sure people are not missing the key points. Now, when you got that interview, right, for this role, let's talk about that a little bit. You decided, you're going to apply for this role, and then you got the interview. Like, how did you prepare? How did you do on the interview? And what was the feedback you got? I know you told me before, but I'd like to share that because to me, that's just like icing on top of the cake. Okay. So tell us about how that process went.
I think again with interviews, a lot of it is mindset. And so when I got that interview, I was excited. I was really excited for the job, excited about doing the interview. I view interviews as a conversation rather than I'm being, tested by somebody or something like that. And I have a lot of confidence going into interviews. So I was really excited to also share that I have this knowledge and that I can do this job well. And so having that like foundation of a positive mindset going into an interview and having that confidence, I feel like is extremely helpful. For the interviews, this is specifically stock audit. So I also feel like I was able to study, a very specific amount of information, which was helpful. So I studied my notes from the modules. I also used ChatGPT to come up with some questions that they might ask me. And then from there would like workshop my responses to that, both writing down what my responses would be, but then also just practicing with myself in the mirror. And so I spent, I don't even know how many hours kind of talking to myself, practicing the interviews. And that is so, so helpful, being able to say things out loud, answer questions that you might be presented with in the interview. So that was a big part of it, and practicing every single day as well to really prepare myself. I had 3 rounds of interviews. After the second one, I made sure to write down all of the things that they were asked and then revisit my answers for them for how I might potentially answer them if they came up again in the third interview. And I also spent a lot of time reflecting on each of my interviews to see what the commonalities were. What things were they consistently asking me or that they mentioned that seemed really important to the company? Be it to things that they were looking for in an employee or their company culture as a whole. But I really wanted to identify those threads so then I could craft my answers to touch on those points. And so I found that to be a really helpful process as well. By the time I got to that third interview, I knew what they wanted. I knew exactly what they were looking for in an employee, and I was able to adjust my language to really touch on those points that would be important for them.
That's really great. And one of the things you mentioned, the way you practiced is so important. Like I tell people, you can't practice too much for an interview because when you mentioned that you had confidence, right? If we're real about it, the reason you had confidence was because you were prepared, right?
Absolutely.
You knew the material, right? You'd done the work, right? You knew everything around the sock. Because what was what the remember? Okay, so I'll let you say
Yeah.
what was that feedback you got when they asked you that first interview question and you were able to go through the sock process?
Yeah, so the director, so somebody that's going to be quite higher than I am, right off the bat asked me in the third round of interviews to walk through a SOC audit from, beginning to end through that whole process. And I knew how to do that. I'd been studying that. I could confidently walk through that whole process. And I was also able to walk through it and then recognize how the mindset is similar to child development. So part of my elevator pitch as well, having those transferable skills. And his response to that was first shock. He kind of took a moment. And then he was like, wow, I wasn't expecting you to know any of that. He he said that the main reason he had asked that question was to see how I work through figuring out something that I don't know. And I knew it.
Hey,
And
we yeah, like we aim
me
to impress.
Yeah, exactly.
I can
And he
and
asked me
oh, sorry,
several
go ahead.
other technical questions after that, and I was able to answer all of them. And so he also shared that he was not expecting at where I'm currently at to be able to answer any of those questions. Again, I think that was more of a behavioral sort of interview, and he was hoping to assess my problem solving abilities. But not only was I able to show him those skills, but I knew the material. I knew the technical skills that he was asking about, and so I was able to offer that piece of things as well.
Also the heart of having the skills. Like I'm really excited when I hear that because for me, that's what hiring managers are looking for. They're looking for someone that can do the job. And you are literally able to walk in there and show them that I can do the job. This is not just me, with a fancy resume and everything else I have. No, this is me letting you know that I know what it takes to do this job. And literally, if you think about it, you put him in a situation where he couldn't say no. Like, how is he going to say no to you when you already showed him that you can do the job? So that I think you just did excellently there by preparing well and just showcasing that in the interview, which of course, you ended up landing the role. And you mentioned something else that was interesting. They gave you a feedback about educators. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I actually received this in both the second and the third interviews that I had, but it was really highlighted in the third email with the director of the company who said that his favorite new hires are from education. And several of the managers that I had interviewed with also had backgrounds in education. And so that led to, a really wonderful conversation about the importance of transferable skills and how there are a lot of transferable skills from education, which when I started on this whole journey, I never would have imagined. I thought I was, this person who had no background in IT, no background in audit, and I was going to be, struggling in this field. But those transferable skills are so important. And I feel like they're going to help me in this job a lot more than I even would have realized.
Absolutely, because one thing when it comes to audit engagements and GRC work, you'll be working with human beings and you'll need to bring all that patience and other skills you use with your students. So transferable skills are key. Like jokes apart, like seriously, one of the things I say, your transferable skills matter, right?
Yeah.
You leverage your transferable skills and then you acquire the additional technical skills that you need. And now you just have an irresistible combination, right? That hiring managers are looking for, right? So that's just excellent. Again, you did the work, you were ready for the interviews, you showed up with confidence, and you answered the questions excellently well, and you give them the choice, but to give you the role, right? And so now, oh, side note, this is not one of the questions I was thinking of asking. Did they ask you how you knew the information? Like, or did they, or were they just surprised?
Yeah, well, I was very clear that I had done this boot camp, and that was, really what started me on this whole journey. Because as I was moving through this boot camp, not only did I start to develop like a love for cybersecurity, but it really gave me the confidence to be like, yeah, I can do this, and this is the career that I want for my future. And so after doing this boot camp, I was so excited and, jumped into several other academic like learning options. Um, and even though I will be working, I do plan to continue my education as well. Um, but yeah, so I was very clear from the beginning that this boot camp has been truly what started this whole career transition for me. Um,
Yeah. I honestly, I sometimes I just wonder if they ask, and so that I know I had asked you that before. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for the plug. And so now, like on a going back to the interview questions, now just looking back at where you started, right? Now you've completed the program, you've landed this job. Oh, we forgot to mention it's of course you got a salary increase of 32% salary increase. And like I told you, this is going to be the list that you're ever going to be at. It's all the way up from here. And now that you have that, right? How has your pain point been addressed? What's that transformation that you feel like, wow, I did this? Like, can you walk us through that? How you feel the transformation has gone for you, how your pain point has been addressed now that you're on the other side?
it's extremely exciting, and oh, excuse me, in under a year, I have started this whole career transition. I feel very confident with the foundation of knowledge I've created in this field. I have a job. I have, a resume now that really is supportive of my future career. And I had that 32% increase in my salary in under a year. And that's majorly confidence boosting. Um, the pain point is pretty much gone at this point. I see that I have so much career growth possible for me in my future. From here, it's only going to get better the way I see it.
Yeah, that's the reality. Because again, where you start is just the starting point, right? It's limitless opportunities going forward. So that's really amazing that that's, just in under a year, you took the program, you landed a job, your financial pinpoint has been addressed. Now you have that independence, right? And you know you're going to get even more independent as time goes on. And so, is there anything now that you want to share, like just about your journey to encourage other people that are also looking to make a career transition into cybersecurity, audit, or GRC?
Absolutely. Back on what we were just talking about, but to expand a little, I do feel like the your boot camp, or I'm sorry, I'm calling it a boot camp, but do you refer to it as a boot camp?
Boot camp is fine, program is fine,
The
training.
program. It's really the roots of my whole future. And I have taken several classes at a community college, some other programs, and other opportunities, learning opportunities like that. And I already know the material from what I've learned in the program. I already have that. And I have done some other things that I probably didn't need to do because I already have those roots. And that has always been really exciting for me that I can come in to these other learning opportunities. I'm like, wait, I know this already. I've already learned this material.
That's amazing. Like skills, well, not to sound too formal, but skills acquisition is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, and for you and I know I haven't really said this before. Like, we share the educator's mindset in, like, I love teaching. Like, I
Yeah.
know for a fact that that's my passion. That's my calling, for lack of a better word, from a career perspective. I love teaching because I like how I can impart knowledge on people and then they can take that and just run with it. And I
Mhm.
think if just like here, it's amazing to see when, you're teaching kids, helping them grow and you see them develop. And so for me, it's teaching is a true passion when I really think about it. And so when you mentioned to me how, a lot of what you've learned here has given you the foundation, for me, that's my reward. Like, we did it. We gave you what the tools, the resources, and the knowledge that you needed, and you were able to use that along with our coaching and all of that. You were able to use that to address the pain points that you personally had, and now your career transition is in full, you know, what's full motion, right?
Yeah.
You're really into it now. You're starting a new role and you can already see the possibilities. For me, that is just that's what this is about. So thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Okay. And so is there anything else you want to let people know? Any words of encouragement for people out there that are also considering a career transition?
Yes, the material in the program at times can feel overwhelming, and just don't give up. I feel like it can be so easy to lose that momentum. Um, but have a sense of excitement about moving through it. This is the work that needs to be done if you want to have that career change. Um, and attend the weekly meetings as well. I feel like that was another key that we haven't talked about. But those live sessions are really helpful, and come with questions. Come and be engaged too, and don't lose that sense of engagement.
So awesome. Thank you. And I think all that says is like that you guys that are listening to this, you can do this too. You can make the career transition happen. Aimee went from an early childhood educator, right? Background, no prior IT knowledge. Aimee, you don't have any certifications either. I think I forgot to mention that.
I do. I have the ITF plus, the CompTIA
The
ITF plus.
CompTIA ITF Plus, you got that one. That I
But I
forgot
got
about that.
that after the boot camp. And again, the program was extremely helpful in me learning those skills.
And that's fine. You can call it boot camp. It's okay. So no, but like with that background and the IT fundamentals, I think it just teaches you the basics of IT.
Yeah.
You were able to leverage all of that, right? And you were able to make this career transition happen. And not only just make it happen, you made it happen in a spectacular way because you absolutely blew the minds of the, hiring managers. You let them know that you could really do this. So I think that's what people also need to take away from this is that it's possible. If you're willing to do the work, you can also get the results. All right. So thank you, Aimee, for joining me here today. Thank you for sharing your story. I think this is just one of the things I like to do is just to encourage people, like wherever you are, whatever pain points you might be facing today, if it has to do with a career transition, meaning a career transition can help you, this is something you can truly consider. Just make sure that you commit to the process. Make sure that you have the right mindset, and you can also get results just like Aimee did, and just like so many of our students have done. So thank you again, Aimee, for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know that a lot of people will be motivated by this story. Thank you so much. So, Aimee, I forgot to ask this question because this is when really your dad found this program and helped sign you up. And your dad is in IT. He's worked in IT for a long time, right? So, how does he feel about this transition for you? Like,
He
I
is
guess, yeah, that's the question.
He's over the moon excited about it, and it's very fun because now we can talk about IT stuff. And he'll even be telling me, because he doesn't work in cybersecurity, but he'll be telling me about things that he's experiencing on the job. And I'll be like, that's a cybersecurity risk. Like
Wow,
you shouldn't
nice.
you shouldn't have end-to-end access here. Like that seems wrong. What's going on? And so we have this kind of fun dynamic right now. And so he's in IT, and several of my uncles are as well. And so it's kind of fun, like joining the career of the family almost. And we've
Is
had some great
cool. That
conversations.
yeah. So
Yeah,
you now have
yeah,
your bonding moment with
yeah.
your dad around IT and cybersecurity. Isn't that so cool?
It is. It really is.
That's really, really good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. All right, so you guys heard Aimee. She told you how she started from an early childhood education background, no IT background, and she was able to make this career transition happen in a way that absolutely impressed the hiring managers. So, again, I want you to know that this is possible for you. You can leverage your transferable skills and acquire the right skill set that will help you make this career transition happen for you. If you have any questions or want to learn about starting your career in cybersecurity audit and compliance, I encourage you to click the link in the description box below and get in touch with us. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.